Whenever you're ready to proceed.
Mrs. Lopez, I believe we left off at, did you file a financial affidavit in the family law case that's currently pending?
This was not supposed to be filed.
I appreciate that answer, but the question is, did you fill out and sign and file a financial affidavit in your family law case?
We were in the process of amending this.
Okay, I appreciate that answer, but the question is, did you file a financial affidavit in your family law case in April of 2025?
We were, I didn't know it was filed. They were holding on to it because I thought it was supposed to be amended.
Mrs. Lopez, have you had an opportunity to review this exhibit or this affidavit that was provided to you?
Yes.
And if we flip to the final page, on the back, when was this signed electronically?
It says on 4/10.
Is that 2025?
Yes.
And is that your name and address at the bottom?
Yes.
Okay, so in this financial affidavit, it's an outline of your present monthly gross income and your monthly deductions, as well as your average monthly expenses. Is that correct?
On page 2, yes.
Is it fair to say that your lifestyle and your daily living was primarily supported by your husband's income and pension that we previously talked about?
Yes.
And so at the time of this affidavit, your monthly gross salary was about $1,304? And so when we were talking earlier about the amount of money that was going through the checking account, for example, your husband's payroll and treasury deposits, those were essentially funding two households, is that correct?
Yes.
So that $221,000 salary or so that was being received by your husband, that was going to support expenses for both residents, is that right? And so when you say that there were two mortgages, what were those mortgages for?
For 2 houses.
And so those were being paid out of those that income, correct?
Yes.
So when we say that there was a total deposit of over $250,000, that money was consistently being used per month.
Yes.
And is it fair to say that you didn't have $250,000 on hand?
No.
So that's not a total amount that you would have had to fund a savings account, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
That wasn't an amount that you would have had to fund the savings account, correct?
Say that again.
The salary was not used to primarily fund the savings account, correct?
My salary?
Your husband's salary.
Yes, it was.
Was it also being used to pay these monthly expenses?
Yes, it was.
And so your monthly mortgage payment was over $2,000,
Yes, it was.
and your household expenses were close to $6,000?
For both, yes.
Again, if we're looking at the household on page 3 of your sworn to financial affidavit, close to $6,000 for one household, correct?
Yes.
And so when you say both mortgages, one portion of that salary was being used for solely your household expenses.
Yes.
And then there's another entire household that's being supported.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that household?
No.
Are you familiar with the mortgage on that property?
Familiar with the mortgage, but this does not include it.
And how much was the mortgage on the other property that that salary was supporting?
Like I said, this doesn't include it.
Again, I appreciate that, but how are you familiar with, or do you know how much the mortgage was on the other
I
property?
know approximate.
Okay, so when you had to deposit that additional money to pay it from the withdrawal of the savings account, you don't know how much you paid?
I didn't actually have to pay it because I got arrested.
So you have no idea how much that mortgage is?
I know an approximate amount.
Okay, and what's that?
It's approximately around 3,000 something.
So again, the salary that's coming in and the pension, it's going to support two separate households that you are familiar with.
Yes.
And again, if we look at the financial affidavit, your present net monthly income was $1,337. Is that correct?
Yes.
And finally, Mrs. Lopez, is it fair to say that for the 18 months of these statements that were provided to statewide prosecution that your husband was solely supporting your household?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, just clear something up for me. There was testimony that $35,000 was given to the bail for the husband, and $25,000. Was all that used by the bailsman? Was that money used for the husband's bail?
No, Your Honor, none of that money was used for his bail.
And that money is where?
Still with the bondsman, being used for Ms. Lopez's collateral and premium.
All right. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any other witness? For the defense? Any witness?
Not for the defense, Your
All right. The state?
Yes, Your Honor, we would like to address the state's motion as to our rebuttal witness's form of testimony or physical presence in the courtroom.
All right. Well, first, is there any objection from the defense?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that the reason that they're asking for the courtroom to be closed is because the agent works undercover. I think that the court, in considering this type of a motion, which was filed last night, is supposed to consider whether there are reasonable alternatives. I think that those reasonable alternatives could just be that the media will not record the witness, but that the court does not need to be closed.
Well, it says, the motion says there's ongoing investigation, so I don't know the state's response to that.
So some of the alternative methods that we've discussed, Your Honor, and the preferable method would be that the witness appear via Zoom and just keep his camera on and that we swear him outside the presence. That would be the ideal method.
I don't know if the Zoom link was set up here. Does the defense have any objection to that?
I don't have any objection.
Okay, let me step out. I'm going to have my assistant set up, so if you could turn that on, and I'll get this all set up once I get the Zoom link set up. So just give me a few moments. You can all remain seated. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Welcome into Florida Live. What you are watching right now on the main screen is a bond hearing for Robin Lopez. She is the estranged wife of suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez. This is the hearing where she has to prove that the money she has posted for bond, which was set at $400,000, is clean, every penny of it. This is what we have been following for the better part of the last hour plus, happening live right now in Lake County. On the top right corner of your screen, we have state Democrats that are visiting Alligator Alcatraz. On the bottom right corner of your screen, that is the United States House right now on the floor voting on the president's spending bill. All of these happening concurrently. It is a busy Thursday just before the 4th of July holiday. So the judge stepped away briefly in Lake County, as this is a look at the prosecutors there. To recap what it is that we have heard so far today, and this is from a reporter, our reporter inside the courtroom, Marie Ettinger. She says that the state maintains that Robin Lopez can't just cover the $40,000 in bail. She has to also cover $400,000 in collateral, plus the $40,000 she is putting down. She's using her home valued at $353,000, as well as some other money. As it seems as though the feed has gone down while they're in recess, and it has come back up here, and you're looking at the statewide prosecutors. Severance Lopez, Robin Severance Lopez, has offered to take the stand as a witness, and we heard some of the questions that she answered here of the
Ms.
prosecutors. One of them, as the judge has returned, we're going to go back and
Sherry's
listen
going
in.
to send you the link. She's not in the office, but she's going to send you the link. And if you could send that to who needs to get it, I suspect the witness is going to need it also.
Your Honor, I can help coordinate that because the witness can use my computer
Okay.
and
in our network.
So Ms. Yard will get the link, send it to the two of you. You'll have,
I can easily just log in and
yeah, well, we'll be on Polycom, so the attorneys in the courtroom will not need Zoom.
That's acceptable, Your Honor.
Okay.
We appreciate the accommodation.
And the bailiff told me, who needs to speak to?
We do need to speak to him,
Okay.
just to let him know that this is how it's going to work, and because we were talking about alternative methods.
Oh, looks like I got it. All right. I'll get it here.
Welcome to Zoom. Please press pound, then enter your meeting ID, followed by the pound sign again.
I got it. I'm hooked up. Miss Yard, your email?
Michelle, 2 L's at michelleyard.com.
Michelle at michelleyard.
Okay, so while the judge figures out what's going to be happening here in a moment, let's continue to lay out what has happened here in the last hour plus in court. And we told you that Robin Lopez posted her house valued at $353,000, as well as some other money that she has gotten here, and the $40,000 that she posted toward bail bonds. The state says that on June 5th, the date of Marcos Lopez's arrest, there's a withdrawal of $127,000, almost the entire balance of that account. The judge asked, where did that go? The state says, that's a good question, Your Honor, and that's a question that we have been asking. And the answer from Marie that we've gotten is that she took the money from the joint account and put it into the one that she holds by herself, she being Robin Lopez. Marie's summation is essentially that the state is feeling a little frustrated because her testimony is that she is claiming she was nervous she wouldn't have access to the joint account even though her name is on it.
I don't think it's muted.
Looks like they're still trying to figure out how to work some of the technical
Did you
equipment
get the link?
with sharing a link. Marie adds here, this just 4 minutes ago, saying that what the state is getting at is
Okay.
the defense provided bank records from the past 18 months, but at that point there's already nearly $200,000, $178,000 in the account that she's using to pay her
Statements
bail.
to the witness?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly.
Okay.
Robin claims she cannot account for every transaction made prior to the 18 months of bank records provided, so the state says that means she can't prove all of this is clean money.
Okay, so why don't you get the link set up?
I'm just waiting on the email.
Okay.
We're still
Yeah,
working
while
on
we
setting up
wait
a
and
link.
Make sure we
So
have
this
it all
gives us
set up, and I'll step out.
Another chance to go further here. Marie says the state says Marcos Lopez was entirely supporting both her household and his own. We do know that they have filed for divorce, but it has not been finalized, so they are still married. And all of the money that went into the accounts she's using came from him.
Did you get it?
Robin also claims on the date Marcos was arrested, June 5th, she withdrew $127,000 from one of the joint accounts she shares with Marcos. Like we said, because she was worried that she would lose access to that money. The state questions that move, given that her name is on the account. So that is where we are now. We are also watching the bottom right corner of your screen, and that is the U.S. House voting on the president's spending bill and tax bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The Speaker, Mike Johnson, said that this would pass today in order to meet the president's July 4th deadline. Right now you see that the yeas are 210, the nays are 212, though we expect
So I'm bringing.
that some of those Republicans, as the nays ticked up to 213, that some of those Republican House members who were noes last night holding out on a rule vote flipped over to the yes column. But you'll see that there's still 40 seconds left in voting. And then on the top right of your screen, that is state Democrats that are visiting Alligator Alcatraz today, that for their first time. We have a video feed outside there. So all of these happening here live on Florida Live.
It was working. You don't have to, you can go off, but once we start.
And we are still waiting on some technical issues or clarifications in Lake County. And with seconds left on the bottom right corner of your screen, you see the clapping on the floor of the U.S. House.
Okay, so that's not going to be in here. So I'm just trying to think, so, yeah, so you don't have to mute anything on there. That won't be in here, so it should be good.
Your Honor, just to clarify, if we're questioning from the podium, he won't have any.
I don't care.
But he could hear.
He'll be able to, you're talking to that microphone, he'll be able to hear it.
Thank you.
So you need to, so let me step out, you can talk to the witness, and as soon as they're ready and everything is set up, perhaps maybe when they go back there, I think Ms. Yard will have access. She just has to unmute, and you can see if you can communicate. All right, you can remain seated.
ones. Especially ones that I've seen.
Still waiting on the court proceedings to resume over in Lake County. Want to keep you apprised of the situation on Capitol Hill, and that is on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. The U.S. House appears to have the votes to pass the president's spending bill. You'll see the numbers, 217 with 2 Republican nays and 1 Republican no vote. And all 212 Democrats have voted against, 217 to 214, as it appears as though the president's spending bill appears to pass in the U.S. House.
Let's just put that in writing and not in video. Those are from like 2 years ago.
While we wait on court proceedings to resume in Lake County, we are going to go ahead and take this opportunity here on Florida Live to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You won't miss it then. We are back. We're going to go back inside the courtroom in Lake County.
The courtroom, because we were admitted prior to us leaving.
I admitted both of you? Okay. Oh, you changed your name, that's it.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes,
yes.
Yeah, you changed the name.
I had an extra minute, so I
All
took
right.
advantage.
Okay. So, how we're going to proceed with swearing the witness in?
We're happy to defer the court to practice. It's my understanding that in other circumstances similar to this one, it's just been done in absence of the camera. However, I'm not sure if defense has an alternative solution or even an issue with that.
I don't know how they plan to accomplish this. I mean, I think that we need to somehow confirm who the witness is to swear them in.
So I have a couple solutions, Your Honor. If we'd like, we can, court personnel can swear him in the back.
The clerk can swear him in? Any objection?
Assuming that they're going to provide me with the name of who is testifying, if they don't plan for that to be public, then I don't have any objection.
We've already discovered the witness's identification, so he's a discovered witness. We'd be happy to highlight which witness it is.
Sure, that would be helpful. They use initials in their motion.
Okay. So are we good with the clerk swearing in the witness?
From the state, yes, Your Honor.
I have no objection to that.
Okay. So we're going to put it on, just going to have to unmute.
I'm not on mute, I don't have this.
No, you're going to have to go to the witness.
He's here?
Oh, sorry, I didn't. So I'm going to ask the witness to unmute. So the witness can the witness hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And there's no, I didn't hear any echo. Can, Ms. Yard, can you speak in your microphone, please?
This is Michelle.
Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
All right, and could the state just speak at your microphone?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right, we're good. You ready again? Yep.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give on this issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Who's the witness?
All right, we can proceed.
Good afternoon. Can you please state your name for the record?
Frank Tagler.
Agent Tagler, how are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the Orange County Sheriff's Office as a task force officer with Homeland Security full-time.
And as a task force officer, what is your primary role?
My primary role is economic crimes and conspiracies.
And so you work in conjunction with a federal agency. What is your training and experience as part of becoming a task force officer?
Task force officer usually involves Title 19 training and authorization. I've also had training in money laundering and organized crime, narcotics investigations, interview and interrogation, narcotics investigations, undercover advanced training, different tactical training.
When were you hired into this role through HSI?
I obtained the role in 2023, I believe in January.
And prior to that, were you employed by the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, I've been employed with the Orange County Sheriff's Office since 2015.
Did you also perform undercover operations at the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Yes,
And in your training and experience, you indicated that you had training in economic crime and money laundering, is that correct?
yes, in money laundering and in organized crime.
And can you explain what is commingling in the context of money laundering?
Commingling of funds is funds that are funds of proceeds of illicit activity. An example would be proceeds from drug sales being put into a bank account and then essentially moved to another bank account. The funds that were already in the bank account, once those dirty funds go in and they start moving and transferring the funds, they're commingling the funds with the funds that are already in the account itself.
And so, for lack of a better phrase, does commingling involve mixing money from illegal activity with money from legal activity?
Yes, usually to conceal the source of the illicit money.
So when you're analyzing financial records in the course of your duties, what are some things that you look for when you're completing your financial analysis in regards to commingling? What are some of the signs?
Explain transfers, transfers back and forth within the same day for the same amounts or similar amounts. You're looking for large cash deposits or cash deposits under a certain amount over time, sometimes to avoid bank requirements of reporting the cash deposits.
Is commingling sometimes through electronic transfers?
Yes, you can get electronic transfers, wire transfers, peer-to-peer transfers, and transfers between accounts that are essentially owned by the same person.
And so would you expect to see transfers occurring, like you said, between multiple accounts with the same ownership?
Yes.
Okay, so Agent Tyler, have you been involved in the racketeering case involving an illegal gambling enterprise in Lake and Osceola counties?
Yes, ma'am.
And as part of your involvement in this investigation, did you swear to an affidavit of probable cause?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're familiar with the beginning of this investigation and when the illegal activity began?
Yes, ma'am.
Did this illegal enterprise begin in on or about 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the course of your investigation, did you ultimately complete an arrest of Mrs. Robin Severance Lopez?
Yes, ma'am.
Search incident to arrest, could you tell this court what you located in her vehicle?
During the search incident to arrest, from her purse were 2 deposit slips, one for $60,000 and the other one for $117,000. The $60,000 slip was for a Chase bank account, and the other slip was for a PNC bank account.
And for the PNC bank account, just to clarify, how much was that for?
$117,000.
And then for the Chase account, that was for the $60,000?
Yes, ma'am.
And as part of your role in this investigation, did you review bank statements provided by defense counsel for Mrs. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am.
And were those for 3 separate accounts from Chase Bank?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you look at a savings account, 9217?
Yes.
Did you note the beginning balance of that account from the first statement that was provided?
Yes, ma'am. I believe it was 2023 or 2024.
And is that well after the racketeering incidents began in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to review or were you provided with any statements prior to that from defense counsel?
From defense counsel, no, ma'am.
Did you also look at a checking account ending in 7386?
Yes, ma'am.
And in your training and experience, did you know multiple electronic transfers both in and out of that checking account?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you know that that account was owned by both Mr. and Mrs. Lopez as signatories?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for the 7386 account, did you have an opportunity to review a statement from June of 2025, essentially just prior to Mrs. Lopez's arrest or the time period of her arrest?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you note that there were cash deposits into that account?
The 386, the 86 account, that was the checking account?
Yes.
That had the 60,000 deposit into the account, and that's also the account that was on the deposit slip that was found during the search incident to arrest.
And did you note that the beginning balance of that account was $452.37?
Yes, ma'am.
And so if a check was going to be written out of that account, was that cash deposit required to cover that amount for the $60,000 check?
Yes, there were wire transfers into the account, but there were other expenses that came out of the account and required the 60,000 that went into the account to meet the 2 check numbers that were produced by defense.
So in the course of your analysis, Agent Tyler, and your training and experience, were you able to determine that these checking accounts were being used for household expenses?
For the most part, it looked like there was incidentals, restaurant use, but yes, household expenses.
At any point, was there a balance in any of these checking accounts exceeding $200,000 or $250,000?
In the checking account, no.
And in your training and experience, did it appear that as soon as the money came in, it was essentially used for expenses?
Essentially, there were transfers between the checking and the savings account.
Did you note in your analysis that the money is essentially moved around in a number of different ways?
Yes, it's moved between two, what appeared to be two checking accounts and a savings account.
And if you could summarize for the court, did it appear that there were transfers both into and out of the savings account back and forth between the checking accounts?
Yes, ma'am.
So I just have a moment to confer on that.
On the left, the bond hearing for Robin Lopez, the wife of suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez. It's set at $400,000. Her attorneys are trying to prove that every penny that she has posted toward that amount is clean to have her released on bail. On the right, that is Lisa McClain, a Republican from Michigan, the Republican Conference Chair. She is speaking ahead of the House Speaker after the House passes the president's spending bill. It'll go to his desk. He intends to sign it. And I think perhaps the Speaker may be up next. It is not. We'll go back, listen in to the courtroom in Lake County.
Okay, Agent Tyler, when we're talking about the savings account and your analysis of the 18 months of statements, is that account primarily funded through electronic transfers from checking accounts?
It appeared that the savings account was receiving transfers from the checking accounts.
And in your analysis, did you determine that those transfers came from the balance in the savings account that is unexplained at this point?
Yes, there was a withdrawal from the account around the date that the 60,000, just prior to the date that the 60,000, or prior to the date that the 60,000 went into was deposited into the checking account.
Is it a fair characterization that this money is moving in circular ways back?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Agent Tyler, is it a fair assessment that the money is moving back and forth in circular ways, but the primary source of the funding of the checking accounts comes from the balance of the savings?
Yes.
And when you're looking at the funding that's coming from the savings, is that being used to cover expenses such as mortgages?
I would have to check. I do remember seeing the mortgage payments, but I can't remember which account had the mortgage payments.
Okay, and Your Honor, I apologize because I didn't bring the exhibit to the witness. Is there a way that we could get him the exhibit so we could ask more specific questions? That was my oversight.
You'd have to, somebody'd have to be back there with them. Yeah, I don't think so. Yep. Do you have copies?
I do.
You can have copies. You can have the evidence, and you can give them copies of the evidence.
Okay, I do have the defense counsel's copies here, so I can refer to them as the exhibit numbers. They
You
just
have the defense counsel's copies of,
the bank records.
They have the copy I provided to them.
Okay. So what do you want to give the witness?
I wanted to provide the checking account statements and the savings account
Are
statements.
those clearly marked as to what you're asking for, or you could just ask the account number and the witness will know where to look?
I think he will, yes. I could,
All right.
they're separated out, so I don't think it'll be an issue.
Thank you. I have the statements in front of me.
Okay. Agent Tyler, if you're looking at, they're separated into three files, the 1797 checking account.
Yes.
It's hard because I can't see, but if we're looking at, were these the monthly statements that you analyzed as part of your review?
Yes.
And overall, when you're looking at these accounts and reviewing both the beginning balance and the ending balance of these accounts, is it fair to say that at the end of each monthly cycle, there's really not a lot of money left?
Yes. Yes, for the ending cycles for all three accounts, there is not a significant amount left.
When you're looking at the withdrawals, are there multiple transfers to the savings account? And as an example, looking at just the very first statement, February of 24 through March of 24, are there a number of transfers to the same savings account in 1 month?
Which account are you looking at? Are you looking at the 1797?
Yes.
Yes, there are transfers into the savings account.
Your Honor, if I could just have a moment.
Yes.
Agent Tyler, so if we're looking at that same statement from 2024, did you note that although money was being transferred to the savings, money was also being transferred back from that same savings account into the checking account? And the money that's coming from that savings account, is it being commingled with money in the checking account that came from payroll or payroll checks?
Yes, you can see that there was a actual payroll payment on, it was 24, I believe it was the January 2025, 2024, in the account 1797, there's a payroll payment in that account on the January 31st of 2025. And there is a online transfer to the savings 9217 on February 14th of 2025.
And is that a consistent pattern that you saw from month to month, that there was money being transferred both in and out of this checking account from that savings account?
Yes.
And so for that 921 savings account that we just mentioned, in reviewing that, were there unexplained deposits coming from both checking accounts?
So if you're looking at the sheriff's office payroll going into the account, and then a few months later, you're looking at, or about a month later, a few days later, depending, you're looking at the money being moved into the savings account. But then in between, you're looking at all the card purchases, and then online transfers back into the savings account of 5,000. You are seeing the
So Agent Tazzer, is it fair to say that there's a pattern of transactions and electronic transfers between these accounts that are unexplained?
yes.
Did you also note unexplained deposits in your analysis of all three of these accounts?
Yes, the $60,000 deposit was unexplained. We found that on the search incident to arrest, and then we see it on the account provided by the defense.
So right now, House Speaker Mike Johnson is going to speak in Washington, D.C.
On the big slip for PNC.
after
Did you
the
note that
president's
in your
spending bill
case,
passed in the
chief
House
judge?
just moments ago. We'll listen.
Give you a long speech. A lot has been said today, and these people are exhausted. A couple of us quite literally haven't slept in 2 days, so I'm a danger to myself and others right now. I'm not gonna speak off the cuff. I'll just say this. I mean, many of you have asked me this question in the hall over the last couple of days. But when it looked like that we might actually deliver this thing, particularly this morning, how did you know? I mean, what kept you going? Why did you think this was possible? You guys made an audacious plan. You brought the most comprehensive, complicated piece of legislation, probably arguably in the top 2 or 3 in the history of the Congress, with the smallest margin in U.S. history, which we had for a big chunk of the first 100 days. And you put this audacious timeline. You said you were going to pass it out of the House by Memorial Day. I mean, some of you openly laughed at me when I said that back in early February. And then we said we would get it done by July 4th. We beat Memorial Day by 4 days, and we got this one done a day early. I just want to point out, okay?
Time now to say goodbye to our folks who are watching us on Fox Local Tampa. We will stay on this on Fox Local Orlando and on YouTube. We are also streaming the Robin Lopez hearing in full on its own dedicated YouTube video. if you want to go ahead and watch that. But we will get back to it as soon as the speaker finishes some of his comments here.
The White House and the Senate and the House aligned in alignment, unified government. And we did not want to waste that opportunity because we understand the history that comes along with it, the opportunity that we can do for the country, and we believe that we would have that chance. And then I believe in the people that are standing here behind me. I believe in this group, every single one of them individually. Some of them are more fun to deal with than others, you know. I mean that with the greatest level of respect. I love every single one of my colleagues. You know, even the ones I got to spend the more time with, right? Because everybody's here, their motive is right, their heart is right. They're trying to do right for their constituents. They're trying to serve the greatest nation in the history of the world that we're going to celebrate tomorrow. We don't take that lightly. I know their hearts, and I know what their skill sets are, and I know what they bring to the table, and I get up every day excited because I know that each of them are going to bring that to the table, and they're going to serve their constituents. You could not have a greater group of public servants than the people standing in this room right here. They will give their all for this country, and man, that's what the framers intended when they put this thing together 249 years ago. This is what it was about. So I believed in this vision. I believed in the group. I believe in America. I believe we have the greatest nation. I'm going to say this very simply, and everybody here would articulate it in their own way. We had a tough 4 years before this last election cycle. America we were in deep trouble. And we knew that if we won, and we believed we would, we knew that if we got unified government, we'd have to quite literally fix every area of public policy. Everything was an absolute disaster under the Biden-Harris radical, woke, progressive Democrat regime. And we took the best effort that we could in one big, beautiful bill to fix as much of it as we could. And I am so grateful to God that we got that done as we did. Because of the dedication, yeah. Lastly, it's no secret, I do believe in God. I believe in that motto that's up that I referenced in the floor speech a little while ago. I believe that is what has made our nation the greatest in the history of the world. And some people shake their heads and they think that's old-fashioned or something. That is a fact. When the framers put this together, they stepped out in faith. They did something that no nation had ever done before. The great statesman, philosopher G.K. Chesterton of Great Britain said, America is the only nation in the world that was founded upon a creed. And he said it's listed with almost theological lucidity or clarity in the nation's birth certificate, the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we recognize, we boldly proclaim the self-evident truth that our rights do not come from the government, they come from God himself. He's the one that gave us our rights. That's right. Abraham Lincoln said in the Gettysburg Address, we are dedicated to this proposition, to one nation, under God. A government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. This is an experiment. It's only 249 years, y'all. That's not a long span of time in human history. It's just a blip on the whole scale of human history. It is up to us to save it. It's up to the duly elected representatives of the people to come here and represent. And it's up to every single one of us, of the people, by the people, for the people, all of us. So you got to be engaged, and we got to pass this along to the next generation. Reagan reminded us, freedom's not inherited in the bloodstream. It's got to be protected. It's got to be fought for. It's got to be taught to the next generation so that they will have the same liberty, opportunity, and security that we have all known and too often take it for granted. So I just want to say, we're going to get to the main event here. We're about to sign this bill and get it over to the White House, okay?
So that is House Speaker Mike Johnson talking about the passage of the president's spending bill. Fox News reporting that the president will sign it at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We are going to go back now to the courtroom in Lake County where Robin Lopez, wife of suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez, is trying to prove that she does have the money, the clean money, to get out of jail, in which she's been for more than a week.
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's look at the next one. For April to May 2025, the deposits are again in bold, right?
Yes.
And there are 2 deposits from the Osceola Sheriff payroll, both in the amount of $5,861, right?
Yes,
And there's a treasury deposit for $2,018.19, correct?
yes,
And there's no other money coming into this account other than transfers between the checking and the savings, right?
yes, 2 transfers for $400, $1,500 transfer, $500, and those would be the transfers.
Okay, but as for the transfers, they don't come from any source other than one of the 3 joint accounts, right?
Yes,
Okay. So for that month, with the sheriff's office and the treasury, there's over $13,000 in deposits.
yes,
Okay, let's look at March to April 2025. Again, we see 2 deposits from the Osceola Sheriff payroll for the amount of $5,861 and some change. And then again, the treasury for 2018, is that right?
yes,
And again, the only other money coming into this account comes from transfers between the checking and savings of the other 2 joint accounts, right?
yes, 200 from 1917.
Okay, and so for the sheriffs and the treasury, there's over 13,000 that comes into this account that month again, correct?
Yes,
And you aren't concerned that the Osceola County Sheriff's payroll was illegitimate, is that right?
no, no concern.
Okay, and the same with the treasury deposits, no concern?
No concern.
Okay, so let's look at February to March 2025. Again, we see 2 deposits from the Osceola County Sheriff's and 1 from the treasury, right?
Yes,
And this month, no transfers between the accounts, but a few dollars came in from an Amazon return, right?
yes, just a transfer out of this account.
So again, no unexplained deposits, correct?
No,
Okay, and so for that month, between the sheriff's office and the treasury, again, over $13,000 coming into the account. Right? All right. Let's look at January to February 2025. Again, 2 deposits from the Osceola County Sheriff's and 1 from the treasury. Is that right?
yes,
And again, this month, no transfers between the accounts, but again, another Amazon return, right?
yes, and a $6,000 transfer out of the account.
Right.
Multiple
Transfer again to the savings account, the 9217, right?
Yes,
So again, no money coming in or going out other than to one of these 3 accounts. Is that right?
yes,
And here between the sheriff's office and the treasury, again, over 13,000 deposited. Is that right?
yes,
All right, let's look at December to January. So here, this month, there were 3 deposits from the Osceola Sheriff's payroll and 1 from the treasury. Is that right?
yes,
And again, no money coming in or out except for one of the 3 accounts, right?
yes,
And in this, between the sheriff's and the treasury for this statement, there's over $20,000 deposited into the account. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. Let's look at November to December 2024. We have 2 deposits from the Osceola County Sheriff's and 1 from the treasury. Is that right?
yes,
And no money coming in or out other than to one of the other accounts, these 3 accounts that we're talking about?
Yes.
And so between the sheriff's office and the treasury, we have over $14,000 deposited that month, right?
Yes.
All right, let's look at October to November 2024. We have this month 2 deposits from the sheriff's and 1 from the treasury, is that right?
Yes.
And no other money coming in or out other than transfers between these 3 accounts, correct?
Yes.
And so the money coming in from the sheriff and the treasury is over $14,000 for that month, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at September to October 2024. Osceola County Sheriff's deposit, we have 2, and then 1 treasury deposit, is that right?
Yes.
And no other money coming in or out other than transfers between the accounts, is that right?
Yes. Online transfer from 9217.
Which is the savings to the checking, right?
Yes.
And there's nothing improper with a person transferring money from their savings to their checking to cover their bills, correct?
No.
So for this month deposits, we have between the sheriff's and the treasury over $14,000 again. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at August to September. Again, 2 deposits from the sheriff and 1 from the treasury. Is that right?
Yes.
And no money coming in or out other than to one of the other 3 accounts, or these 3 accounts, correct?
You have the $5,000 transfers twice from the 9217, and the withdrawal appears to be from probably an ATM or at the bank for $5,000 into the account.
Okay, so on September 3rd, it shows $5,000 being transferred from the savings to this account, right?
Online transfer from savings 9217 for
Right.
$5,000.
Right. And so again, all of the transfers are within the 3 joint accounts, right?
Yes.
And the ATM transaction is a withdrawal from the account, not putting money into the account, correct?
Yes.
And so here, between the Osceola County Sheriff's and the Treasury deposits, we have over $13,000.
Approximately, yes.
Okay. Same thing for July to August, 2 deposits from the Sheriff's and 1 from the Treasury.
Yes.
No other money coming in or going out other than transfers between these accounts.
No, just regular expenses.
Okay, and so the deposits between the Sheriff's Office and the Treasury are, again, over $13,000 for that month, right? So June to July, we have the same again, right? 2 deposits from the Sheriff's Office, 1 from the Treasury.
Yes.
No money coming in or out other than to one of these accounts.
You have the 2,000 going into the account from,
Savings on July 15th. Is that right?
yes.
Okay, so again, that money is coming from one of these joint accounts, right?
Yes.
So the Sheriff's and the Treasury this month are over $12,000 deposited.
Yes.
Let's look at May to June 2024. 2 deposits from the Sheriff's Office and 1 from the Treasury, is that right?
Yes.
Any money coming in or out other than to one of these accounts?
Money coming from the savings?
Right, which is one of the joint accounts, right?
Yep.
No other money coming in or out?
Other than expenses and transfer to the account 7386 for 6,000.
Right, which is one of the three accounts we're talking about here today, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the money coming in that month between the sheriff and the treasury is over $17,000? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. April to May, again the same. Is that, we have 2 deposits from the sheriff and 1 from the treasury?
Yes.
No money coming
Can
in?
you go
Go ahead.
back, I'm sorry, can you go back to the May, June?
Which one?
May through June?
Yes, okay, go ahead.
It was not 17. I don't believe it was 17.
All right, let me walk you through it. On May 24th, there's a deposit for over $5,000 from the sheriff's office, right?
Yep. And then you have the other one on the 7th?
Yep, we have it on June 7th, and then we have one on June 21st, all of them for over $5,000.
Yes, okay.
And then the treasury for approximately $2,000, bringing us to the 17?
Yes.
Okay. So April to May, again with the 2 deposits from the sheriff and 1 from the treasury.
Yes.
Any other money coming in and out other than to one of these 3 accounts?
Just the expenses.
Right, and when you're talking expenses, we're talking about, for instance, Dunkin' Donuts, Pizza Hut, Wawa, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
Pediatrics office. Okay. So for April to May, between the sheriff's office and the treasury brought in over $12,000 to the account, right?
Yes.
Okay, March to April 2024, we have 2 deposits from the sheriff's payroll and 1 from the treasury.
Yes.
We then have transfers to with the savings account, right?
Yes.
And no money coming in or out other than to one of the accounts.
Yes.
So the money coming in that month between the sheriff and the treasury over $12,000.
Yes.
All right, let's look at February to March. 2 deposits coming in from the sheriff's payroll. Is that right?
Yes.
1 from the treasury.
Yes.
No money coming in or out other than to transfers between the accounts.
Yes.
And deposits from the sheriff and the treasury over $12,000, correct?
Yes.
All right, January to February 2024, 2 deposits from the sheriff's payroll, 1 from the treasury.
Yes.
No money coming in or out other than transfers between the 3 accounts.
Yes.
Deposits from the sheriff and the treasury for over $12,000.
Yes.
All right, and the last of our 18 months is December 2023 to January 2024. 2 deposits from the Osceola, my mistake, 3 deposits from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office. Correct?
Yes.
1 from the Treasury.
Yes.
No money coming in or out other than to the other accounts. so the total deposits from the sheriff's and the treasury that month were over $17,000. Is that right?
Yes.
So that was account 1797. Now let's look at the savings account that you were testifying about.
Yes.
What's the number?
Sorry, Judge, 9217. This is defense 1B. All right, let's look at May to June. The only money coming into or out of this account comes from one of the other accounts, right? Or like with the
Objection, if counsel could specify the year of the statement that she's referring to.
Let's just start again with, like we were doing with the last one. Give us the month.
All right, let's look at May 15th, 2025 to June 13th, 2025.
Correct.
The deposits this month are both from the checking account to the savings account, right?
Yes.
And the withdrawals are from the savings account to the checking account, right?
No, there is a counter withdrawal of $127,000.
Okay. So other than the $127,000, all of the transfers are between the savings and the checking of these accounts. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at April to May 2025. Is there any money coming into this savings account from other than the checking accounts?
No.
And let's look at March to April 2025. Is there any money coming into this account other than from the checking account?
No.
For February to March 2025, is there any money coming into this account from other than the checking account?
No.
January to February 2025, is there any money coming into this account from other than the checking account?
No.
December to January 2025, is there any money coming into this account from other than the checking account?
No.
Let's look at November to December 2024. Is there any money coming into the account from other than the checking account?
No.
Let's look at October to November 2024. Is there any money coming into the account from other than the checking account?
No.
Let's look at September to October 2024. Is there any money coming into the account from other than the checking account?
No.
Let's look at August to September 2024. All the deposits coming from the checking account. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, let's look at July to August 2024. Again, all the deposits are coming from the checking account. Is that right?
Yes.
And let's look at May to June 2024. All the deposits are coming from the checking account. Is that right?
No deposits in this June to July.
Oh, sorry, May to June 2024.
Oh, my apologies. Yes.
Okay, so again, only money coming in is from the checking account for May to June. Is that right?
For May to June, the only deposits were two deposits coming from 1797.
Which is one of the two checking accounts, right?
Yes.
And I did skip a month because the month prior, there was no deposits at all that month. Is that right? The June to July?
June, July, yes.
Okay. April to May 2024, the only deposits made into this account are from the checking account?
Yes.
Okay, March to April 2024, only deposits are from the checking account?
Yes.
February to March 2024, the only deposits are from the checking account.
Yes.
January to February 2024, the only deposits are from the checking account.
Yes.
December 2023 to January 2024, only deposits come from one of the two checking accounts?
Yes.
Okay, so no evidence of any money in the last 18 months coming into account 9217 from other than one of the other two accounts we've been talking about, is that right?
Yes.
All right, and then the last account that's an issue is account 7386, that's Defense 1C. And prior to the arrest of Marcos Lopez, there were only deposits into this account from either one of the other two accounts, is that right?
Yes.
And then on June the 5th, we see the $5,000 deposit, right?
Yes. Again, that's an on-account deposit. It's either check or cash.
Okay. And then we see 2 wire transfers on the 6th, is that right?
Yes.
And in fact, those incoming wire transfers, like let's look at the one on June 6th for $5,000. That one says it's from Karen Lopez, is that right?
Yes.
And then it says in the notes for bond, is that right?
Yes.
And then on the 13th is the $60,000 deposit, right?
Yes.
And you said that you found a deposit slip in Ms. Lopez's car corresponding to that $60,000 deposit, right?
Yes, but again, no source of the funds for the $60,000.
And so, other than the transfers after Mr. Lopez was arrested, nothing coming in or out of this account other than from the other accounts, is that right?
Multiple checks were paid under this account.
Those are all are those after the arrest? That there's a $25,000 on the 12th, $20,000 on the 16th, $35,000. Those are after the arrest of Mr. Lopez. Is that right?
Yes, and I believe 2 of the checks that were given by defense are 2 of the checks for Ms. Lopez.
Okay, so you have seen the other defense exhibits then, is that right?
The 2 checks, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you know that 2 of those checks totaling $60,000 were cashed by the bondsman?
Yes.
Let's look at April to May 2025. Does any money come into this account from other than one of the other two accounts?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Same question for March to April 2025. Now, here we have on April 23rd an IRS tax refund for $2,082.80, right?
March to April.
March 26, 25 to April 23, 25. Do you see the IRS refund on April 23rd?
The 2,000?
Yes. Do you see that as a deposit from the IRS?
Yes.
Okay. And is there any reason to believe that the IRS tax refund is an unlawful fund? Okay, and any other deposits into this account from anywhere other than one of the other accounts, or it looks like there was a $48 return for Ross Stores, is that right?
Yes,
All right, February to March 2025. We have no money coming into the accounts other than transfers between the other two, is that right?
yes,
January to February 2025, no money coming into the account other than transfers between the other two.
yes,
December to January 2025, no money coming into the account other than transfers from the 9217, the other account.
yes,
November to December 2024, only money coming in from transfers from the other two accounts.
yes,
October to November 2024, only money coming in from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
September to October, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
August to September 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
July to August 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
June to July 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
May to June 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
April to May 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
March to April 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
February to March, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
January to February 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts.
yes,
And December to January 2024, this is December 2023 to January 2024, only money coming in, coming from one of the other two accounts. Sorry. So we've gone through all three accounts, and the only outside deposits coming in up before Marcos Lopez was arrested were from the Osceola County Sheriff's or the U.S. Treasury or the IRS. Is that right?
yes,
And we agree that there's no concern with those deposits, right?
no concern with those deposits.
And there are no other deposits, right?
Well, the 60,000 and, the 60,000.
Sure, so let's, so we're, so,
Objection,
Uh,
Your Honor,
Yeah, well, hold on, please, don't talk over each other. Question?
we would ask that the witness be allowed to finish his answer before another question is asked for the record.
please answer.
So the 60,000 and the 5,000 that are in account 17,386, there's no source to those funds, and the account's beginning balance was only $482 when it started, so the checks that were paid out of this account would have had to have pulled cash from those unaccounted deposits.
Well, let's look back at the accounts for 9217. What was the beginning balance for the May to June 2025?
May to June beginning balance was 130.
Okay, so weeks, in the 2 to 3 weeks before, there was 130,000 in that account, before Marco's arrest.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
and the month before, the beginning balance was 128,000, right?
yeah, April to May 14th.
Okay, and then March to April, the beginning balance was 125,000, right?
Yes,
All right, let's look at,
We're looking at 9217 right now.
yes, Judge.
Right.
yes, sir.
All right, let's look at February to March. The beginning balance was 122,900, right? And that, to be clear, 122,900, right?
Yeah, 59 and some cents.
All right, beginning balance, January 16th statement, 118,000.
Yes,
Beginning balance, December statement, 118,000.
December 118, yes ma'am.
Okay, November, we had 114,000 beginning balance.
Yes ma'am.
October, we had 113,000 beginning balance.
Yes,
September, 113,000 again.
yes,
Beginning balance in August, 105,000.
yes,
Beginning balance July, 144,000.
yes,
Beginning balance June, 173,000.
yes,
Beginning balance in May, 177,000.
yes,
August, also, or sorry, April, also 177,000.
yes,
March, 177,000.
yes,
February, 176,000.
yes,
January 2024, 177,000.
yes,
December 2023, 178,000.
yes,
So for the last 18 months, the beginning balance of this account has always been over $100,000. Is that right?
for the 9217 account, yes,
Correct. Well, that's the account that the 127,000 was withdrawn from, right?
yes,
So that account has always had over 100,000.
yes,
Now, we know on June 5th, there's the withdrawal for 127,000. And then on the same day, there's a deposit into the 1797 for 5,000 and a deposit into the 7386 for 5,000. Is that right?
into 1786, the 7386 account.
Yes.
For on the 5th, there's a $5,000 deposit, yes.
Right. So if we're looking at transactions on the 5th, there's a withdrawal from the savings for 127, and then there's a deposit of 5 into the checking, and then another deposit of 5 into the other checking, all on the same day, right?
Yes,
And then on June 13th, we see the deposit back into 7386 of $60,000, right?
yes,
And you said that you found in Ms. Lopez's car the $60,000 deposit slip, right?
Objection asked and answered.
yes,
So we know where that $60,000 deposited on June 13th came from, correct?
Objection, counsel's testifying.
You can answer the question.
no,
So you see the deposit into 7386. You found the deposit slip for that transaction, but you don't know where that money came from?
Objection, compound question, confusing.
You can answer the question.
No, because the slip does not tell us what account the 60,000 came from. It doesn't tell us if it's a cash or check. And then it was found in conjunction with the PNC account that received $117,000.
Okay. So let me ask you, if, let's talk in hypothetical terms. If someone withdrew 127,000, they took 5 and put it in another account of that 127, took 5 of that 127 and put that in a third account, there would be 117 left, right?
Yes,
So it's consistent if someone were to say that they withdrew 127 and deposited 5, that they would have 117 left to do whatever they're going to do with, right?
to put into the PNC account.
Right, you found the deposit slip for 117, right? For PNC?
Yes, yes,
And that PNC account belongs to Ms. Lopez, right?
yes,
So the deposit slip for the $60,000 that was in the car corresponds to the date on the $60,000 deposit on the bank record?
I would have to double check on the receipt that was found on the car, but I believe so.
Okay. So when you're saying that there's unexplained money in these accounts, you're just talking about these transactions we just reviewed after Mr. Lopez was arrested, is that right?
The $60,000 in cash.
Sure, but there's no, because we just went through every other statement, all 18 months for each of the 3 accounts, and there's no other unexplained deposits, correct?
No other unexplained other than some of the $5,000 deposits.
Again, those are after he was arrested, right?
There was one deposit, I believe it was in the 1797 account.
Okay, let's look at that. Okay, what deposit are you referencing?
You have to go back through.
Are you talking about the $5,000 withdrawal at an ATM at one of these 18 months?
Possible, I might have confused it, but I believe there was a $5,000 deposit.
Okay, can you review the records and see if that refreshes your recollection on that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was on May 25th, or May 21st, 2025 through June 20th, 2025, in the account ending 1797. The deposit was made on 6/05.
Okay.
And it's a $5,000 deposit that has no source. It could be cash or check.
Okay, and that's the date.
Let me interrupt you here. I know this is an important issue, this hearing. However, I had another matter set for 2 o'clock. Tomorrow's a holiday. That matter has to be addressed today. They've been up there waiting for me, so do you have any idea how much longer you're going to need?
I think we're wrapping up with this witness. I don't know if they have any other witnesses.
Is there another witness?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
All right, so just to be clear.
One moment. Can you agree and tell her that it should be soon? Judge Baxley's chair. All right, go ahead.
Okay. That is, on that June 5th deposit is the date of Mr. Lopez's arrest, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have for this witness, Your Honor.
Yeah. All right. Any cross?
Redirect,
yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh, okay, we're on law enforcement officer. Redirect, go ahead.
Agent Tyler, just to reiterate, in your analysis of the checking account for 7386, if you look at the electronic withdrawals, were there mortgage payments made out of this account?
Yes.
And so there's a recurring payments to these mortgages. For Centennial Bank, was the recurring payment $3,145.53?
Yes.
And then was there another mortgage payment to Loan Depot for $2,254.61?
Yes.
And then there's various car payments and other automated bills that are paid out of this account.
Yes.
And then if we're switching over to account number 9217, the savings account with Chase,
Okay.
if we could turn to April of 2024 through May of 2024.
Okay.
On April 26th, is there a transfer from the checking account 1797 for $4,300?
For 9217?
Yes.
On what date?
April of 24 through May of 24.
Yes.
And then does that money go right back out to the second checking account, the same amount, $4,300 on May 9th?
Yes.
And is this a combination of the consistent transactions that you've seen that the savings account money goes back out through the checking accounts regularly?
Yes.
So if we're turning to August of 24 through September of 24, looking at the transactions, is there a $5,000 deposit from 1797 into the checking account on September 3rd?
Yes.
And that same day, does that money go right back to that checking account? The same checking account
Yes.
it's from?
Yes.
And so when we talked earlier on your direct examination that money is constantly moving back and forth, is that what you were referring to?
Yes.
As far as the beginning balance of this savings account, do you have any additional information before December of 2023 from the defense counsel for this hearing as far as the source of funds for that savings account?
For 927?
Yes, 9217.
No.
And so that $60,000 that went back into the account around the time of Marcos Lopez's arrest, that is currently unexplained.
The 60,000 went into the account 7386.
And then there's a $117,000 that goes into a PNC account that you saw the deposit slip for,
Yes.
and that's not consistent with just the $127,000 that was withdrawn from the savings?
There's no source for the 117,000.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So let me ask you, what is the burden?
Your Honor, the burden is on defense counsel to show
No, I
that.
understand, but what's the burden of proof? What's the measure?
My understanding is that it's a preponderance of the evidence.
All right. So the burden is on the defendant by the defense by the preponderance of the evidence. Okay. All right. So any argument?
Yes, Judge. So I think that much of this hearing has lost sight of the purpose of 903-046. The purpose is to show that the money that has been tendered came from a lawful source. We have proven that the only money in any of these three accounts came from either the Osceola County Sheriff's payroll or the IRS or the Treasury for the last 18 months. And the savings account balance has been consistently over $100,000 for that entire 18 months. The agent's testimony about what he found in the car just shores up what Ms. Lopez testified to, which is that she withdrew 127, put 5 in one account, 5 in another, that left her with 117. She told us that she deposited that 117 into her PNC account. The agent found that deposit slip. And then she told us that she took the 60 and put it back in to cut the checks for the bondsman, which show is cleared in the account at the same time.
Let me stop. Are we done with the witness? I can shut this down?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So thank you. I'm going to shut down the Zoom.
Thank you.
The agent testified that there is no evidence of commingling in these last 18 months, and that there is no unexplained transaction besides the ones that Ms. Lopez explained to us today, and the deposit slips that were found in her car validate is exactly what happened. There is one case that I would like to talk about very briefly, which is Jenkins v. State. It is at 404 Southern 3rd 511. May I approach?
Okay.
This case went up on a writ of habeas corpus following a bond source fund hearing. And what the court finds is that, so on page 2, and I've highlighted it, the defense counsel was asserting that the bond source condition was satisfied because the funds used to pay the bond were proven to be legitimate, and argued that whatever was left in the bank account was irrelevant to the analysis. The court finds that once the source of the funds, the $60,000 that came out of the account that had a legitimate over $259,000 in the last 18 months, we have proven that that came from legitimate funds. According to their own agent, there's no evidence of an untoward deposit. There's no evidence of commingling. There are no deposits that come from other than the payroll, the IRS, or the Treasury. And what the court finds in this case is that the burden is met when we show that the funds are coming from a legitimate source. There is no burden to prove that every dollar that has ever been in every one of these accounts is valid. We have to prove that the $60,000 came from somewhere legitimate, and we prove that over at least the last 18 months, there was never an illegitimate deposit into this account. Whether they transfer money back and forth is irrelevant. They can transfer their money back and forth every day if they wish, but they're not transferring it outside of these 3 accounts, and there's not money coming in from anywhere other than the deposits for the payroll, the Treasury, or the one-time IRS deposit.
Is the witness free to go? Is there a witness release?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The court in this case reversed, or I guess granted, the writ of habeas, finding that the state's insistence on looking into the other funds in the account was beyond the analysis, beyond the proper of the analysis. And in that case, they were trying to also allege that there were insufficient funds coming into the account to pay for all of the things that the person had to pay for. And the court states on page 3 of the printout, but page 7 of the opinion, that the person's, this is a quote, ongoing financial status has nothing to do with whether the funds used to post the appearance bond were derived from illegal sources, and verges on the proscription against pretrial detention merely for being indigent. How much money they brought in versus how much money they spent is not what we're here for today. We're here to show that the $60,000, which is the only thing that they say is still an issue in this bond source, came from legitimate funds, and all we have is evidence of legitimate funds. She has met her burden, and the order should be entered that she can bond out today.
All right, thank you. Response?
Your Honor, we're going to put the issue of the Jenkins case aside for just a moment and offer our closing argument in response to the evidence before Your Honor. Most respectfully, I believe defense counsel is somewhat confusing the issues here. The reality of it is that in order to properly consider the evidence in this motion, it requires us to do some math, which jurists are historically not great at, but it is important for us to do some math. So, out of all the records that the defendant has provided to Your Honor, only one account has income that has been verifiable. And that is the account ending 1797. And the verifiable income in that account is that by way of the Osceola Sheriff's Office, in addition to those Treasury deposits. The defendant herself testified that The bulk of that money, I might have one moment, oh, here it is. The bulk of that money was used to pay both Marcos Lopez and her expenses. She testified that her expenses were approximately $6,000 per month, and she was able to give a ballpark of Marcos Lopez's mortgage, which was, she said, a little over $3,000 per month. She was not able to offer, Your Honor, any other information about what additional expenses he would have had, but understanding that Mr. Lopez surely has expenses beyond just that of his mortgage. That means that over $9,000 per month of his income is already spoken for. If Your Honor does the math and you look at those payroll deposits, you will see that in the earlier part of the time frame that Your Honor has been given, the sheriff's paycheck was a little over $10,000 a month, and over time, over the next year, it had increased in certain increments. It could have increased up to $12,800 per month toward the end of that timeline that Your Honor was given in 2025. That means that after expenses, that would have left, on the higher end, only $3,800 per month from the payroll left to discretionary spending. In addition, Your Honor, we'll see routine, approximately $2,000 monthly deposits into that that account ending 1797 from what is likely which counsel is calling those treasury deposits. So if you include that money with the discretionary payroll that's left over after expenses, that gets us on the higher end, Your Honor, because I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt here for the math, is a little over $5,700 per month of verifiable income left over. If Your Honor were to multiply that times the 18 months that defendant has provided that to Your Honor, that would leave only $103,824 of verified money. When Your Honor looks at the other accounts, there is a whole heck of a lot more than $103,000 moving through those accounts. That is the state's issue. Your Honor is likely aware that this is a common tactic used in order to do the very thing the defendant is trying to achieve today, which is to create confusion and hide the source of that excess money. The only legitimate income that has been established here is already spent by way of Mrs. Lopez and Mr. Lopez's expenses. In addition, it is important to note, Your Honor, that that savings account ending in 9217, beginning with the first record that the earliest record that we're given, which is, I believe, January 2024, has a beginning balance of a little over $178,000, for which the defendant has not provided, Your Honor, with any records to show how that bank account got to that balance. There are no records to show where that $178,000 came from. The reason that is important to Your Honor is because we know that the legitimate income is already spent. So the defendant has a burden to establish that money that's being transferred from 9217 to 7386 is legitimate. The defendant has failed to do that. We already know now that that money cannot be supported by Mr. Lopez's verifiable income because, as the defendant told Your Honor, that money is already spent. This money, the analysis here, Your Honor, because of the shuffling, because of the mixing of funds, it is very much necessary to look at.
Welcome into Florida Live on this Thursday. We have been listening in on the bond hearing for Robin Lopez. She is the estranged wife of suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez. Right now it is the statewide prosecutors that are speaking to the judge, making their case about the funds posted toward Miss Lopez's bond amount, which is set at $400,000. The reason for today's hearing is to prove that every cent of that money that has been posted toward that bond amount is clean and not tied to any alleged illegal enterprise. And the attorney for Ms. Lopez says that her client has met that burden, says that they don't have to prove the validity of every dollar in the account, but the burden she says that they have met is the money that has been posted has been authenticated and ruled clean. So we are going to get on with our Fox 35 News Plus at 4, but stay on top of what you are looking at now, and we'll have somebody monitoring the court feed for us. But in the meantime, our top 4 at 4, one of the stories which will include the bond hearing for Robin Lopez. We will bring in Fox 35 anchor Luann Sorrell. Luann, happy Thursday to you. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Manny?
Doing well, doing well. It has been another busy day in here.
Yes,
we
had several.
Three things going on at once, and 3 of those are right in here in your top 4.
Right. The top one is that President Trump's big, beautiful bill passed the House, so now it is heading to his desk for his signature by his self-imposed deadline of July 4th. So he will get to sign his big legislative bill on Independence Day tomorrow. You see House Speaker Mike Johnson signing that earlier today. A big victory for the Republicans. The Democrats not happy one bit about this legislation being passed. In fact, the Democratic leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, broke a record with a speech on the House floor today, 8 hours and 45 minutes, Manny. His voice has to be a little sore after that.
Yeah.
That is a very long
Honey.
speech. Yes, he needs some honey and lemon, I think, along with some tea. He was speaking. He is not happy with this. The Democrats say millions of people are going to get kicked off of their health insurance because of the Medicaid cuts and the SNAP benefits. They say this is, targeting the poor while padding the pockets of the rich. The Republicans do not see it that way, but they got it through the House and the Senate, and now it just needs Trump's signature.
So this is part of the House Minority Leader's speech this morning.
We're going to press on until victory is won. I yield back. Mr. Speaker, I think it's fair to say the leader has done his part. I have no further speakers. I yield back our time.
I thank the gentleman from Missouri. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ronald Reagan said one time that no speech should be longer than 20 minutes, and unlike the Democrat leader, I'm going to honor my colleague's time and be a little more brief than that, all right?
And so the reporting from Fox News is that the president plans to sign this bill into action tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Yep, that would make sense. 4th of July, his big legislation being pushed through, and this is a big step for him. This is the big thing he wanted to get done, and now it's done.
Ultimately, it wasn't as easy, perhaps, as he thought it would be, but the speaker did get the job done.
Came through.
Yep. Second story is one that has been a big story for us all week long, happening at Alligator Alcatraz down in South Florida.
Yeah, it seems like this story is changing by the hour. We found out today that the first inmates, illegal immigrants, have been brought to Alligator Alcatraz. That happened last night. The Democrats not happy about this. They said they were going to go to that ICE detention center in the Everglades to see exactly what was going on inside there. But Manny, you actually just told me a couple minutes ago that they were denied entry into Alligator Alcatraz. And what were they told?
That reporting is from our sister station in Tampa, Evan Axelbank. And I'll go ahead and see if I can pull up his tweet that I saw that he sent out, because he is over there down in Ochapi.
Yeah, this is video of the Democrats outside of Alligator Alcatraz. I know State Representative here, Anna Escamani, said she equated this to a concentration camp, saying people should not be housed in the middle of the Everglades where it's scorching hot, intense. But my understanding is that the people at that facility said, come back later. This wasn't scheduled.
Correct. And so this is what Evan Axelbank wrote on Twitter. He says that lawmakers trying to visit Alligator Alcatraz are being denied entry by state officials, citing safety concerns, meaning for the lawmakers' safety.
Right.
And so as you mentioned, the reporting now is that they'll be welcomed in if they schedule something. But one of the state reps who was there, Michelle Rayner, she said to Evan, if it's unsafe for us, why is it safer for the people that are there? So they were hoping to get inside, and here's what they told reporters who were waiting outside.
Based on reports that we've been able to glean, the site is already experiencing flooding. The first individuals who have been detained with no due process have arrived. And it's so essential when you have hundreds of millions of public dollars being spent on a political stunt that we have the ability to see for our own eyes what is happening and to be the voices of our constituents. This process has occurred with no transparency whatsoever, with Governor Ron DeSantis handing out contracts to his friends to build what is essentially a concentration camp. And it's essential that we are calling that out, stating what it is, and doing our part to ensure accountability for those who are directly impacted. I'll also close with emphasizing that even with ICE data reporting, more than 85% of those being detained right now do not have any criminal offenses. Correct.
So looks like that got stuck there in a little bit of a fade transition. Let me bounce around on the cameras. Does it look okay on the stream, Johnny? It doesn't look good on my end. There we go. Okay, just needed to get the system going here.
Get the bugs out.
Yeah. All right. So coming up here at 5 o'clock for Fox 35 News on Fox Local and on TV, I've been digging into response that the feds submitted today in federal court in regards to a lawsuit that 2 environmental groups submitted last week. And so this response does have some new information just about the funding of Alligator Alcatraz and the effort behind it, talking about how DHS has not implemented, authorized, directed, or funded Florida's temporary detention center down in Ochapi. So we'll have some more of that. I'll have some more of that coming up here just in a little bit. Third story, Luann, that is in our top 4 is that Robin Lopez hearing.
Yeah, you guys have been following it for hours here on Fox Local. The former suspended Osceola County Sheriff's estranged wife is in court today. She's trying to get let out of jail on bond, but she's got to prove that her money is clean. She was arrested back on June 23rd and charged with conspiracy to invest proceeds from racketeering. She allegedly took in money from her estranged husband's illegal gambling operation. So now she's got to prove that this is actually her money, her clean money. It sounds like the judge is ruling on the bond hearing. Let's listen in.
$380,000. Is there what the state has agreed to? Is that what we're at between house value and the family?
I can do a quick calculation, Your Honor.
I believe it comes out to 380.
It's 380, Your Honor. May I very briefly speak?
Well, I ruled, but go ahead if you want to make a record.
I understand that you're...
Let me just finish. There's $20,000 that the defendant has to show to the state has not come from the list of funds. Go ahead.
Your Honor, we have in evidence the sale of the Fannie Bass property, which yielded a $57,000, which we have deposited both the bank account and the disbursement statement. So there is more than enough evidence from this sale of this property alone to meet that $20,000 threshold. And this was in 2023.
Okay, you can provide that to the state, and if the state, I'm not hearing any argument.
It's in evidence, Judge.
Pardon?
It's in evidence here today.
Okay, well, you can talk to the state further about that issue. You can date, we'll, or we can come back. All right. You all have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In North Corridor.
1098, 1015, courtroom 1F. Should give you a return to jail.
So we just got the ruling in Luann as we watch Robin Lopez walk out of the courtroom. Her head is down, that she is not getting out. The judge says that she still needs to account for another $20,000. Explain another $20,000.
Yeah, we were thinking possibly she could be walking out a free woman today, but that's not going to happen. Again, her bond was set at $400,000. She's got to prove that all of that money is clean and not tied up in this alleged illegal gambling operation. So I'm sure she's extremely disappointed. Her attorney trying to argue that she sold a property, so that amount of money should be deemed clean. The judge apparently seeing it another way. It sounds like about, like you said, about $20,000 difference. So they'll be working to prove that that amount of money is also clean. We have no word yet on when she will be back in court, but for now, Robin Lopez will be staying behind bars at the Lake County Jail.
And there was that moment, too, just right after the judge adjourned for the day where her attorney was, head-to-head with her, just explaining what it is that just happened. And that's probably when the gravity of the decision of having to do this all over again, because it was a long afternoon in court. This started at 1 o'clock. We're at 4:11 right now. At least it's $20,000 that is to be explained here instead of $400,000.
Maybe the next time it'll be a little shorter because now they just got to make up that about $20,000 gap. So once they've already proven that it sounds like 387 is clean. So hopefully the next time the hearing will be a little bit more swift.
And we'll have to wonder when that is. Tomorrow's a holiday, and then the weekend coming up.
Correct.
Who knows? Perhaps it may be Monday.
Yeah.
Fourth story here is actually a holiday staple, Luann. One that you're either on one side or the other.
I know. I'm torn. I'm torn with the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. It is such a July 4th tradition. I love it for that reason. But when they start dunking the hot dogs in the water and scarfing them down, it makes me nauseous. It's like a train wreck that you can't turn away from. I love it and I hate it all at once. But this year, Joey Chestnut is back. He is the GOAT when it comes to competitive eating. You may remember last year there was some falling out, you may say.
Yeah.
Joey Chestnut agreed to a sponsorship with Impossible Foods. They make plant-based hot dogs, so they kicked him out of the competition. But now he is back, and he says he's happy to be back, shoving hot dogs down his throat on the 4th of July.
All right.
For this man represents all that is eternal in the human spirit, the courage to go on when others fail or turn away, the strength to recognize the value of freedom and to accept the cost no matter how great. Through the curtain of the aurora a comet blazes to herald his arrival, and his victory shall be transcribed into every language known to history. The 16-time champion of the world, not today carrying the belt, Joey Chestnut. £238. Joey, come on over. Now, I am chair of Major League Eating, but I hate those guys. They're horrible to deal with. They're very difficult to deal with. How did it all get resolved? Was it just sort of we all wanted to have it happen and we got it together? What was your thinking?
Oh my gosh, we kept communicating. We didn't burn any bridges, but and I love this event, and I was willing to keep talking, and
He doesn't lose when it comes to this.
I think in 17 years he lost once. He won 8 years, lost 1 year, eight more years. So he's the odds-on favorite to win this thing this year.
I don't know if I'll be watching. I'll catch it on Twitter whenever we see it.
Does it make you?
It does
do
make
a little.
me. Yeah,
me
it does.
too. But
it
I
does.
can't. can't not watch. It's such a tradition. I'll be there, glued and gagging at the same time.
All right, Luann, thank you.
Sure.
We will see you coming up here on Fox 35 News at 5 after some soccer. That's been our top 4 at 4. We'll be back with more Fox 35 News Plus after the break. We've got some news actually just in about Robin Lopez that we'll give you in 2 minutes. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. It's 4:17 on this Thursday, July 3rd, 2025. We are almost to the start of a long holiday weekend. You see a look at the gray skies right now as we get a live view above downtown Orlando. And right now, it's time for us to check in with Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Laurel Blanchard, who is here to tell us that these gray skies, they unfortunately might be lasting a little while longer than what we would like, right, Laurel?
Yeah, Manny, honestly, you said it. We're keeping those gray skies around through the rest of your Thursday, even taking a look at your 4th of July Friday, and you can see them out there right now as we take a look over Port Canaveral. It is gloomy out there, and some areas seeing some heavy downpours out there as well. Here's our storm tracker radar, seeing some of those heavier downpours up by Palm Coast, as well as Gainesville down to Ocala and the Villages, even moving into Deltona and downtown Orlando, seeing some of those heavier showers. And we're going to be seeing more of those as we not only head through the rest of the evening, but also through your 4th of July on Friday. And I know a lot of folks really want to get outside and enjoy all the firework displays that are happening either tonight or tomorrow. So here's what we're looking at through the rest of the overnight, seeing those temperatures continuing to linger throughout the low and mid 70s. And overall, we're seeing those conditions on the gloomy side, mostly cloudy skies, and still going to be seeing some scattered showers as well as some heavier downpours as we head through the rest of the overnight. Red Hot and Boom and Altamont Springs at Cranes Roost going to be happening tonight as well. And that is one of these events where they are going to be having those fireworks rain or shine, depending on if they can just find a little bit of a break. So here's what we're looking at with that event in particular, possibly seeing those storms finally start to give way as we head into about the 9 o'clock hour. So fingers crossed, and we're going to continue to keep more of that rain and that widespread heavy rain for your 4th of July on Friday, especially if you're planning on heading to the theme parks. Magic Kingdom has an incredible 4th of July event, and they're going to continue to be dodging showers as well as we see those widespread storms impacting the entire region all throughout the day as we head through your 4th of July Friday. So here's the forecast. So we can time this all out. Here's what we're looking at on Friday, 5:30 a.m. If you are headed to work, it is going to be on the mild side. It's going to be seeing those mostly cloudy skies. Most of those showers coming in from the northeast, and we're seeing those conditions just lingering as we see those heavy downpours once again headed through your 4th of July Friday. Then we're going to see those storms almost kind of switch directions as we head into your Friday evening. Here's your, for about 4 p.m., we saw those storms coming up from the northeast, and then they're almost going to be switching and moving west as we head it into your Friday nights. And that's because of a low pressure system trying to get a little bit of circulation over central Florida as we head it through your Friday before it slowly tries to make its way off the west coast. So really our rain chances continuing to stay high at least through the weekend before we may get some drier air back into the region, and that's what's going to limit our rain chances. Taking a look ahead into next week. But Manny, it is going to be rainy, it is going to be gloomy, but hopefully we can find a little bit of a window in order to see some fireworks go off.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the Red Hot and Boom show in Altamont Springs, I think the people will love the fact that they say rain or shine no matter what. So maybe it could be midnight, it could be 1 a.m. fireworks. That would be a memorable 4th of July.
Little late night fireworks never hurt anyone. Yes, it might be loud, but it is still going to be a fun time no matter what time those fireworks actually get started.
So Laurel, that tropical weather outlook that you have posted there was that increase to 60%, but for us, the good news is that it seems to have moved off completely into the Atlantic for the worst of it.
That's right. We're slowly starting to see that area of interest move out, which is good. That doesn't mean that Florida is totally out of the woods, though. So we can see that zone really focused in, especially along the east coast, northern east coast of Florida, as well as the Georgia coast and the Carolina coastline, with that 60% chance of seeing some sort of tropical development within the next 7 days, and also within the next 48 hours, seeing a 30% chance of some sort of development. So we're really going to be watching things this weekend in particular, but we can see over Florida starting to see a little bit of that storm circulation starting to happen. But ultimately what this means is that we are going to be seeing widespread storms across Florida, very similar to what we've been seeing for the past 2 days. And this is going to be stalled in front of a front, and that's what's creating that little bit of circulation with the possibility of a tropical depression forming as this thing makes its way off the coast. So right now you can see this low pressure system just almost starting to form over Florida. This is what's going to be moving off the east coast and having the potential to almost just tap into that very warm ocean water and that very mild air. And that's what could create that possibility of a tropical depression before it most likely makes landfall somewhere along the Carolinas and then slowly makes its way up the east coast, taking a look at Monday. But as this makes its way off the east coast, it's going to pull in some drier air, and that's what's going to limit our rain chances, taking a look ahead into next week. So that's ultimately what we can see with the tropics. But for us here in Central Florida, it is mainly just a widespread rain event. Pretty much copy and paste of what we've had the past 2 days and put them through the weekend. And some areas could see upwards of 6 inches of rain by the time everything is all said and done. We see those rain chances finally start to come down, taking a look at Monday. But here's what we're looking at again for your 7-day forecast. It is going to stay on the cooler side at least for the next couple of days, lingering throughout the upper 80s because of that cloud cover, and overall seeing those conditions just staying gloomy and rainy through the weekend. So unfortunately, if you do have outdoor plans, you may be able to find a couple of dry spots throughout the day, but unfortunately those dry spots won't be lasting too long, and we're still going to be seeing hopefully some more sunshine, taking a look ahead into next week.
So Laurel, all in that 7-day forecast, there's rain every single day. That is summer here in Florida.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be very typical of a Florida summertime over the next couple of days.
And here, you know what? We will see it here. Let me put this up on screen. Let me know if you can see it too. And that is our camera looking over in Brevard County. Right out. You see it's raining there. and it'll start raining here in some of our areas as well from some of the other cameras that I'm looking at. So Laurel Blanchard, thank you very much. Hope you have a happy and safe holiday weekend. We will see you here on Fox 35 News Plus next week.
Thanks, Manny. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. And Fox 35 News Plus continues after the break. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. It is a gray afternoon for some of you here. We are looking live and over downtown Orlando. Manny Martinez here with you this week as Garrett Weimer enjoys some time off. We are charging on with our stories here, but before we do that, we do want to get you an update in the Robin Lopez hearing from our reporter straight in the courtroom, Marie Ettinger. So this is what she has told us as she has gotten some more information as to what the judge ultimately decided in court today. And so I'll put up some video here of Robin Lopez in court as we talk about the fact that the longer explanation from Marie as to why she's staying in jail, and it seems as though her attorney says it seems as though it'll be there throughout the weekend. Her attorney says the same, that Robin Lopez will be stuck in jail throughout the weekend. The judge agreed the house and the money from the friend are well and good. That accounts for $380,000 of the $400,000 bond that was set. The state wanted her to cover $440,000. The judge said that wasn't necessary. The $400,000 was fine. So the judge agreed with the state that it's sketchy. They only provided 18 months worth of bank statements because they can't tell whether the money before that was also legitimate. So Robin Lopez needs to find another $20,000 that she can account, that she can explain, but she will need also, as Luann and I were talking earlier, another hearing to do that. The money they have from legitimate funds is mostly accounted for across 2 mortgages and 2 people's expenses, and the remaining money is not enough to cover the bond. So that is the latest from Fox 35's Marie Ettinger. She was inside the courtroom here for today's hearing in Lake County, and she will have a story for us here coming up on Fox 35 News at 5. But that was a hearing that we were watching for more than 3 hours this afternoon. It started a little after 1 o'clock. It didn't end until a little after 4. You watched it live with us here on Fox 35 News Plus when it did come to that conclusion. We do have some other stories that we do want to get to, and one of them is out of Volusia County, where a police department has an interesting solution for what it calls repeated harassment. And so Chris Lindsay is working this story here for us. And Chris, this one is out of DeLand. They are building a wall around the police department. Do I have that right?
So as it stands right now, they do have signs around the parking lot saying, this is for police only, keep out, but there's no physical structure that stops anybody from coming in. So what they'll be looking to do is build an 8-foot wall. They're still trying to iron out the details, whether it will be brick or concrete or whatever have you, but it's their effort to make sure that everything is secure. There have been a couple of incidents recently that has sort of expedited this process. I'm told that this has been in place for years, but recently there was an incident where someone drove by and fired gunshots into the parking lot, hitting multiple vehicles. There was another incident where someone threw a rock into the window of one of the cruisers, cracking it. And then there's also an incident where someone picked up one of those cigarette disposal bin things and started swinging them at vehicles, causing some damage. So as I said, this was in the works, but those sort of incidents, they really just want to make sure that their officers and other staff members are safe. So this wall will have a gate. This is the sort of technology you see in a lot of different law enforcement facilities. So not exactly something brand new, but it will be brand new here in DeLand.
How much does it cost?
The initial plans that they're looking at will cost about $100,000, but I spoke with a commissioner earlier today who says they're going back to the drawing board. They're going to try to get that price down as much as they can. So as I mentioned, a lot of details to iron out. So perhaps they'll consider changing the height of it or changing the material or the look as a whole to try to get that number down.
Yeah, what is some of that material? I think brick, right? Is that right?
Yes, they're looking into brick, they're looking into concrete, so it's just a matter of how they want to move forward with it. One of the main issues that they brought up was making sure that whatever they do sort of matches the feel of this downtown area where you have City Hall, where you have other government buildings. So they want to do something that will get the job done, keep everyone safe, but not be too much of an eyesore or stick out too much from what is already over here. So they've approved building the wall. Now it's just a matter of how it will look and how much it will cost.
And is there a timeline, Chris? Forgive me if you did say it, for when that is expected to be complete?
No timeline just yet. It's a matter of that next phase of the pricing and the design. So once they get that, then they'll go back and reconvene and move forward with a timeline. So I spoke with a public safety spokesperson who says right now they're just going to take it week by week at this point until they can get more things ironed out.
All right, perfect. Chris Lindsay in DeLand for us. Chris, we'll see you on Fox 35 News at 5.
Yes, thank you.
All right, a half hour away. Thank you, Chris. And Fox 35 News Plus will continue in just a moment. Right after this short break, we will have a couple of stories that we've teased throughout the top of the newscast, that being the state representative and the Democrats who were denied entry at Alligator Alcatraz, as well as the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest weigh-in. You saw Joey Chestnut weighing in at 238 pounds, but it's all part of an event that leads up to tomorrow's contest. We'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Thank you for joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus, on Fox Local, and on YouTube. Manny Martinez in for Garrett Weimer. As we have been for the week, we will not be in tomorrow, so we do thank you for being here with us throughout this week. We want to come back to this story that we've been following the entire week, since Tuesday, since opening day of Alligator Alcatraz down in South Florida. That is the newest immigration detention facility, and it is run by the state. So we've learned today, the Associated Press reports that the first detainees were admitted into Alligator Alcatraz yesterday, last night, and the Attorney General, James Uthmeier, was on Fox News just less than an hour ago talking about how he expects a couple hundred by the end of tonight. We'll play some of that sound here in just a little bit. But several state representatives on the Democratic side tried to go to Alligator Alcatraz this morning and this afternoon. They were denied entry. They were told at the door that it wasn't safe for them and that they should just simply reschedule to return and take their visit. And so we did get a statement from Representative Anna Eskamani, where she was reacting to being denied entrance at this facility. And it reads, despite the statutory authority to access prisons and detention facilities, today we were denied access to visiting the newly constructed Immigration Detention Center in the Everglades. The reason? First, it was just a flat-out denial by state officials. Then it was for safety concerns, her words. We asked for specifics and none could be provided. Eventually, when debating this refusal of access with the Florida Department of Emergency Management outside, we were hung up on. She adds, if the detention center is unsafe for us as lawmakers, then how is it safe for those being detained? We will continue to demand answers and access. So, before walking into that facility, down in Ochapee, she, along with several other of the representatives, did give reporters some time to answer some questions. Now, the video quality, because just the signal isn't that great from down in Ochapee, is tough, and it was raining today, which makes it a little more difficult. The signal quality on the video isn't the greatest, but the sound is okay, and that's what we are concerned with here, that you want to listen to, or that we want you to hear. So we will go ahead and listen to part of this news conference.
Myself and our colleagues, we are here to demand access to this detention facility. Based on reports that we've been able to glean, the site is already experiencing flooding. The first individuals who have been detained with no due process have arrived. And it's so essential when you have hundreds of millions of public dollars being spent on a political stunt that we have the ability to see for our own eyes what is happening and to be the voices of our constituents. This process has occurred with no transparency whatsoever, with Governor Ron DeSantis handing out contracts to his friends to build what is essentially a concentration camp. And it's essential that we are calling that out, stating what it is, and doing our part to ensure accountability for those who are directly impacted. I'll also close with emphasizing that even with ICE data reporting, more than 85% of those being detained right now do not have any criminal offenses. Correct. And with that, I'll pass it to Senator Chevron Jones.
Thank you so much, Anna, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is State Senator Chevron. I represent Florida Senate District 34. I'm here with my colleagues today. Listen, I'm going to make this clear. I think that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, they would want us to be here to ensure that this state-run facility is being done in a way that shows that is in a most humane way. If you're spending $450 million of taxpayer dollars, by mind you, in which the federal government just made it clear that the grant that the state of Florida is hoping for, that this particular facility does not qualify for that grant. And so, therefore, this is not only just a state $450 million facility, it's also a facility that the 60 plus 45-day session that we just came out of, that this did not go through the test of sitting through committee, nor did it go through the test of being debated in the chambers. And so because of that, that's why we're here. I think this is just a political spectacle. I'll show you what political theater is. Political theater is what we're seeing right now, and what's happening within, not just here, across this country. So my colleagues and I are here because we know for a fact that what is happening behind these doors and behind this gate is being done in a way that is not being transparent, as my colleague said, and there is no accountability behind it. And at this time, I will now turn this over to my colleague over in the Senate, that's Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith.
Thank you, Jones. Thank you. State Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith. I represent Senate District 17 in Orlando. Guillermo spelled Guillermo, Smith, no hyphen in between. We're here because we know that this so-called Alligator Alcatraz is a dangerous escalation of Florida's involvement in federal immigration policy. We have a number of questions and concerns, not only about who these no-bid contracts are being awarded to. We know so far it's an assortment of Republican campaign donors who got these multi-million-dollar contracts to create what is basically a makeshift immigrant detainment camp in the middle of the Everglades swamp. We also know, based on what we've just read reported by the Miami Herald, that the state has plans to actually bring pregnant women and children to this detention that President Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis and Republicans have been telling us is meant to house the worst of the worst. Yet their plans have been exposed that include bringing pregnant women and children here. Now listen, we already know because Escamani, 10% of those who have been detained by ICE recently actually have violent criminal records. So what's happening is they are detaining cooks, they're detaining housekeepers, and they're detaining immigrants who had legal status 5 minutes ago. Right. 5 minutes ago, before the Trump administration revoked temporary protected status from the Haitian community, from the Cuban community, from the Venezuelan community, from many more. Folks that had legal status ripped away just recently who were in the United States on a legal parole program. And now they're being told that they don't sell, then they're going to be dumped in the Alligator Alcatraz immigrant detention camp and then sent back maybe to a country that's not even their country of origin. Right. We know that this is cruel, it's inhumane, it's totally un-American, and we should be reflecting on that as we enter the 4th of July holiday. Because we here as lawmakers, we are patriots. Yes. And
that was State Senator Carlos Guillermo Smith from Orlando. He was joined by State Representative Anna Escamani, a Democrat from Orlando, along with State Senator Chevron Jones, State Rep Angie Nixon, State Rep Michelle Rayner. And so, as we have reported, they were denied entry here at Alligator Alcatraz, but they were told to come back when they could schedule something. Anna Escamani told us that when she was on the phone with the state and the state officials, that she says that they were hung up on. So I talked a little bit about how the Attorney General was on Fox News just about an hour ago talking about Alligator Alcatraz and how it is now taking in its first batch of detainees. Let's go ahead and listen to what it is that he had to say to our Trace Gallagher.
This is a well-constructed facility. It's better than most of the immigrant detention centers that you see in photos from the Obama and Biden era. And we're going to ensure that we're enforcing rule of law. So yeah, we've got a couple hundred detainees that are being checked in there by the end of the day, many more on the way. We're going to give them the opportunity to self-deport if they'd like. That's always an option. The federal government will give you $1,000 to go back where you came from. And then you've got the chance to come back to America legally. But if you get deported, you lose that right.
So the Attorney General, they're making the point that Republicans have been pointing toward here for the majority of the week about how Alligator Alcatraz is supposed to serve as a cost-effective deterrent. And he mentioned the fact that if you end up at that facility, at that point, it would be too late to self-deport and that you would not be allowed back into the United States. Now, earlier on Fox 35 News Plus, or earlier in our show, I did mention to Luann that I would be in the 5 o'clock with some updates to a lawsuit that we found today, but things change in TV, so I've been taken out of the 5 o'clock show. And so I won't be presenting the story, but I figured I'd still give it to you here on Fox 35 News Plus, give you just a little bit of a nugget of information. So I have 3 legal filings, and why don't we go in order? This is part of the lawsuit here that was filed on Friday. It's that finger. On Friday. This is by 2 environmental groups against, it lists Kristi Noem as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Todd Lyons as the head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and Kevin Guthrie, who is the state head of Emergency Management, and as defendants. And so it was filed by the Friends of the Everglades and Center for Biological Diversity. They were calling for injunctive relief here in the Southern District of Florida. The state filed its response on Monday, and that's this piece of paper. This is 22 pages, filed on behalf of Kevin Guthrie, and I'll pull up some video so you're not just looking at me the entire time. And so, let's see here, go to video, and there we go. And so, let's see, there we go. That's it. So the state response here filed on Monday, which was the day before this facility was supposed to open. We just learned some new details just about the immigration effort here in this country by this administration. And so in this filing, it says that ICE has made more than 100,000 arrests of illegal aliens through the first week of June. That's an average of 750 arrests per day, which is double the average over the prior decade, and ICE is trying to increase its pace to 3,000 arrests a day. And we do know that with the passing today of the president's spending bill, that there is now a boosted budget for ICE to get to that mark of 3,000 arrests per day. Right now, averaging 750, that's not even a third. And so as of June 24th, ICE was holding around 59,000 detainees, which is about 140% of its budgeted capacity. All of this cited as reasons as to why Florida and the state went ahead with going through with Alligator Alcatraz down in Ochapee. And so the video feed has gone to black here. Let's see if I can play that back. And so the state is currently funding construction of the facility, and that number that we've been giving and have been given by the state about how much it costs to run the facility is $450 million a year. And this filing goes on to say, while Florida plans to seek reimbursement from the federal government, it has not received any reimbursement, and the precise source and amount of any such reimbursement is unknown. Goes on to say here that the reimbursement decision has not yet been made, and an agency's decision to allocate funds in a particular way. So if DHS were to get a reimbursement request from the state of Florida, it can be denied. And that process is unreviewable based on this filing here that we're seeing. Want to go now to the federal response that was filed in court this morning. That's this one here. This one is 9 pages long, and some of the new nuggets that we learned here about Alligator Alcatraz are that DHS has not implemented, authorized, directed, or funded Florida's temporary detention center. Florida is constructing and operating the facility using state funds on state lands under state emergency authority and a pre-existing general delegation of federal authority to implement immigration functions. This is the latest filing again today that says Florida has received no federal funds, nor has it applied for federal funds related to the temporary detention center. So, as we mentioned, the state says that it can be reimbursed. This filing says that the state has not filed for reimbursement quite yet. No timeline given for when that would happen. Moving on, in this document here, also basically saying that this is all Florida's doing, this facility. ICE's role concerning the development of the detention facility has been limited to touring the facility to ensure compliance with ICE detention standards and meeting with officials from the state of Florida to discuss operational matters. The ultimate decision of who to detain at this facility belongs to Florida. That is all things that are in these legal documents, new things that we have learned here about this immigration facility, the newest one here in Florida. And we do know that they are planning a second for Camp Blanding, that in northeast Florida, just southwest of Jacksonville. The one in South Florida holding about 3,000 detainees. The one near Jacksonville holding about another 2,000. So this all part of an effort of the Trump administration to go through with its plan for mass deportations. We will be back with more Fox 35 News Plus on the other side of this break. Thanks for being here with us. Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Manny Martinez here with you to help you finish off your shortened week before a long holiday weekend. We hope that it is a safe one and a happy one and enjoyable. Hopefully you stay dry. Laurel told us that it might be hard to find some dry spots outside. So I mentioned in our previous segment about the passage of the big, beautiful bill, the spending bill, the tax bill that made its way through the House, the Senate, and then the House again just a couple of hours ago. House Speaker Mike Johnson took some questions from reporters after its passage. We do know that it is going to head to the president's desk, and he plans to sign it at 5 tomorrow evening. But this is what the House Speaker had to say to the questions he faced from reporters.
A couple questions real quick. Yes. Yeah, so the question, you didn't hear it, it's kind of loud in here. The question was, how did we get the holdouts to yes? So my leadership style is I try to be a servant leader, and as I mentioned earlier, I know what every member of this body, every member of this conference brings to the table, and the leader's job is to bring out everybody's best and get them to their highest and best use, and that takes some time. So what happened procedurally, not to get too deep in the weeds, but we got the Senate modifications to the House bill. Now we're really proud because the big beautiful bill, 85 to 90% of it is the original House product that we ourselves drafted over the course of more than a year. But when we went to the Senate, of course, as the other chamber is apt to do, they made some changes. They sent it over to us. We didn't have it for a lot of time. And so some members wanted to go really deep in the weeds on the changes, and they wanted to fully understand what those amendments were and how they would interact with the rest of the bill and how the administration would administer the new laws. And so there was a process there for a couple of days where we allowed that time for them to explore all that, to talk with leaders in the administration. President Trump was so generous with his time answering questions himself. Vice President J.D. Vance was directly engaged. We had cabinet secretaries at a number of different federal agencies answering questions from members. Some of them even brought their agency attorneys in to get really deep in the weeds on the details. I knew as the leader that we would have to take the time to do that. And so some of that went into late into the night. And I was not going to make anybody, I was not going to demand anybody's vote or their position on the bill until they felt that they had exhausted that opportunity. So we did it, and that's how we got everybody to yes. Yeah. No, I mean, look, as I said, a lot of these members wanted to talk with the administration about how the new law would be administered by the Trump administration and the team, and I think they answered those questions. I don't think they exacted a lot of specific commitments or concessions or anything like that. It was just more an understanding how that would interact. As you know, this president has been a bold leader. By last count, he's issued over maybe close to 160 executive orders so far. We're trying to codify as many of those as possible, so a lot of the discussions were about what executive orders will be forthcoming as it relates to the new legislation, and how can we be involved as a House to codify that and do all that in a coordinated fashion. The beauty of unified government is this is exactly how it can work and how it's supposed to work, is that you have an interaction between the executive and the legislative branches, because that's what's best for the people, and that coordination is going to yield great results for the folks. So that was part of the discussion yesterday.
We are listening to House Speaker Mike Johnson taking some questions from reporters earlier today after the passage of President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. We are waiting on soccer to finish on our air on Fox 35, and that's why we are extending Fox 35 News Plus just a little bit until the start of Fox 35 News at 5. So stay with us, and you'll have Fox 35 News here in a moment. For now, back to the speaker.
And deliberating over their vote. So I don't know how much stock I'd put into much of that. But all right, last question. Yes, ma'am. Look, I think a lot of the estimations about what this legislation would do in a negative manner to communities in my state or any other are far overblown. I can tell you that this bill is going to be a great thing for everybody around the country, my constituents especially. What's good for Louisiana is good for America. We've got great tax policy here. I think they're going to feel this pretty quickly. Wages will rise. I think household income will go up. I think the job participation rate will increase dramatically. I think unemployment will be low. We're going to duplicate what we did in the first Trump administration. Remember, at the first 2 years, y'all have heard me say 1,000 times, it's objectively true. We had one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and we're going to do that again, except this time much more comprehensively. We did tax cuts and regulatory reform, and that brought about a resurgence of the U.S. economy. That's what's going to happen here. It's about to happen on steroids, and we can't wait for that to happen. This is jet fuel for the economy, and all boats are going to rise. Thank you all for being here.
That was House Speaker Mike Johnson earlier today talking about the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It'll head to the president's desk, and By this time tomorrow, the plan is for that to have his signature on it. Republicans in the House had a day and a half, we'll call it, to meet the president's July 4th deadline. Here now is a live look at the Statue of Liberty in New York. We are waiting for soccer to finish on our air on Fox 35, and so in the meantime, Fox 35 News Plus will run extended. And we kind of talked about it with Luann a little earlier about the holiday tradition that it is the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest every year on the 4th of July, about as American gets. Talk about Americana. And so, believe it or not, it starts with a weigh-in. Yeah. Before you add all of those pounds eating dozens of hot dogs, they have to know just how much you weigh. And that happens every year. And we will show you a clip.
Illinois is now holding the mustard belt. I would like to just say a few words very quickly about Mortimer Matz. Was my boss for 10 years. He ran this contest with Max Rosie, who passed away in '91. That's when I began running the contest. Morty Matz was 100 years old and just passed away last week, right before his 101st birthday. And he was one of the greatest PR men ever. Max Rosie put an elephant on water skis to promote Palisades Park back in the 60s here in New York City. And Morty taught me about controversy. We were there one time, it was an early contest, someone cheated, and Morty said, "Get that cop to arrest that guy." And I said, "That will ruin the contest." He said, "No, that will not. That will make the contest, get him to arrest him." But I didn't understand. I was a youth. I did not understand. Now I understand. So we are going to have the official weigh-in ceremony today. We will certify these eaters for competition, and we will have them eat tomorrow. But before we begin, I would like to bring up a very special guest, if he is here, the big man, the bad man, Eric Badlands Booker. Top gurgitator extraordinaire, the one who eats to the beat with the flash and flare. Each outhouse, a home, no thought or care. Fridge, empty cupboards, bare. The one that rips snacks out of school backpacks, looking over your shoulder like Michael Jackson. He'll be there, son, eating like Pac-Man, digging in your candy dish. Yo, it's a rap, son.
Yo, who beat this? Badlands, baby. Don't if fans or maybe it's devour like crazy. I'm like the dog in the Looney Tune, baby. Getting the steak, but like what? No gravy? Superhero with the fork and spoon. Trained like X-Men in the danger room. Like a pirate, lower Epicurean booms, quicker than soon, bringing Master K and Doom. On all trash talking, son of a guns, don't know I'm buffet, enemy number one. Periscopes take foot and keep running, son. Hey, folks, we're here at Nathan's. Oh, hoo-ah.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand down, sit down, kneel down, bend your head to the crown, Badlands Booker. Now, I met Badlands in 1997 out in Oceanside at a qualifying event for Nathan's Famous, and they said, "We have a late entrant." And I said, "I don't know if we have room." And they said, "Take a look. 6 feet 4 inches tall, a man mountain." And I said, "Yes, we have room." And ever since, Badland has been at the top of his game. In recent years, he's done a lot of rapping, some of my favorite raps, and we will have him on stage tomorrow. But he is also, many of you will know, Badlands Chugs, that's at Badlands Chugs, the chugging champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the blue belt. The blue belt is, the mustard belt is yellow, obviously, the chugging is blue, but is to indicate water. Although what he chugs is Nathan's lemonade. And he has won the last 4 years in a row, destroying people that we've brought in from all over the United States. They don't have what it takes. So this year, we're not going to pretend to compete when they cannot compete. And Badlands is going to try to do something. I've tried to talk him out of this. I've tried to talk him out of this. He is going to attempt to drink and chug 2 gallons of lemonade. 2 gallons. Can it be done?
We'll see tomorrow.
He's done a gallon in 23.1 seconds. But the problem is not the speed. The problem is capacity. You have to have a very big tank to down 2 gallons of lemonade. But it's just good.
So that is some of the fun at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. We even had a rapping eater that is ready to also do 2 gallons of lemonade tomorrow. So watching our coverage of the soccer, it seems as though it has ended, which means that Fox 35 News at 5 is only a couple of minutes away. And as we're watching the live feeds, I'll show you this one. This is out of Joint Base Andrews, and that is President Trump arriving to take a flight on Air Force One to Iowa, where he will celebrate the start of a year-long celebration of America's 250th birthday. You see the beast there arriving on the tarmac. Fox 35 News at 5 is just a short time away. You see Marlisa Goldsmith and Luann Sorrell in the studio there. They are getting set to bring you the day's news. Thank you for joining us here on Fox Local and on YouTube. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.